I really like having a few different journals on the go for art journaling, and this one is my 3x3 journal. I use a layout method called 3x3, where basically you start with a layout of 3 neutral papers, and then you add 3 items in the same color family. I am cautiously feeling some spring vibes, so I pulled out some lavender colored items. I spent some time punching out a bunch of circles from a magazine. I thought that went well. I knew I wanted to start with this hyacinth plant. I love that. It's my favorite spring plant. And I had these film strip things kicking around in my drawer for a while. I thought that might look kind of cool to offset the organic shapes in the rest of my items. I like to leave a bit of a textured border around my layout, so I'm going to use some of these stamps. These have some handwritten and typewritten text on them. I'm using the Ranger Ink Distress Oxide ink in the color Soot. It's a permanent ink. It's not a full-on black, so it's really nice for having just kind of an understated effect with your stamps. Okay, that looks nice. I'm just going to put a few more on some of the edges of this. So first I'll glue in my neutral papers. I'm using this super cheap dollar store glue stick. These are perfectly fine for this kind of work. And before I start gluing down my papers, I do like to lay them out just very quickly so that I know where I want to glue things. Another advantage from using these cheap glue sticks is that you can move stuff around for quite a few minutes after you glue it down because it does not adhere very quickly. So I'm using a piece of oiled paper from one of my other videos. It's totally fine. It's nice and dry. And I'm also using a couple of pieces of neutral papers from my stash. Just a quick tip from me, if you have an old paperback book around or a damaged book, take the cover off and then use that for your glue book. That's what I call this. So I put my pieces of paper on this book and then I can get the glue right to the edges without getting glue all over my artwork or my table, and then every once in a while I just rip off the page and start a new one. So I'll just place these pieces roughly where I wanted them to be placed when I did my layout before I started gluing. Made a little mistake here with my layout, so I'm going to take advantage of that cheap glue stick and just move things around a little bit so that I can get the layering and get kind of an even border around the layout. So again, I'll just quickly lay my items down so that I can get a feel for where I want to glue them. I think that I want this hyacinth to be kind of the center of the piece, and I thought it would look nice if it just kind of goes off the edge. This film strippy thing, I don't know if I want the whole piece, so I think I'm gonna cut a little bit of that, and then that purple circle I think will look nice, kind of layered between those two items. I will definitely keep these little film strippy bits that I'm cutting off here and use them for something else. It turns out these film strips are stickers, so that's really nice for gluing them down. I'm just going to lay that a little bit to the right of the center, and I want that to be my first layer so that I could put my other items on top. Now I'll lay in my little purple circle, and then lastly is my hyacinth. You can totally just leave this here. I think it looks great the way that it is. I'm just going to trim off a little bit of that stem that's hanging over the edge of my paper. And then I just felt like there's a little bit of a blank spot in the bottom left there, so I'm grabbing one of my favorite stamps that I use quite often. It's one of these stamps that looks like it's the stamp that they used at the post office when letters are going through the post office, and that's it. That took me very little time. With a little bit of prep and picking out the things that I wanted to use, choosing my neutral papers and my 3 items in the same color family, I was able to put this together very quickly. Just a nice little piece. Thanks for watching.